Welcome back to my channel. Wait, what are you looking at? Come up here. Up here. 1 second. Hold on. Yeah. Perfect. Don't mind my arms. Awesome. All right, welcome back to my channel again. So today we are going to go over how to make a Vroid model. So some of you guys were requesting that I redo my series of how to make a model from scratch. So let's get into that. All right, hi. So first things first, we are going to open up Vroid Studios. So I'm using the version 1.22. That should be the latest one out there as far as I know, or as far as today's date of May 9th is what today's date is. So this should be the latest version, and we are going to get into how to create different varying characters. I've also changed my art style. I'm in the process of changing it too, so it's going to look a little different than when I did the very first time. So we're going to start off. I'm going to probably make this session in 2 variations. So we're going to do female characters first because I know how to do this art style more so on female characters. I say like I know it really well because I'm still tinkering with it. And then I'm going to go again with another step process of how to do the same thing but on male characters. So maybe if you like my art style, you can try to mimic it on a male character. So first off, Vroid Studios, welcome. Hi. Yes, she brings up a lovely character like this, and then you're gonna want to basically start from scratch unless you really like these features. So usually what I do, I'm gonna start off by getting rid of all these features such as this eye thing. I sometimes keep it, sometimes don't, but for now, this purpose, I'm going to get rid of that for now. Eyelashes is fine, whatever, these are fine. The nose, I don't like this anime style nose, so I usually get rid of that first. And then for the mouth, I don't like this weird little line thing. I think it's right in this one that they do in the inner mouth. See how like there's like a little dark shadowed lip part? I'm not a fan of that, so I don't want it. So I usually get rid of that, so bye. And next, we are going to go into this cheeks and getting rid of that too. So right now our character's looking rather flat, and that's okay because we're just gonna add in our own features. So let's get started with adding in some of our own skin textures. So we're gonna go into skin, we're gonna go to custom, create new. I think even when you're in, let me just see, yeah, even when you're here you can just press edit texture and that basically creates a new skin texture. But if you do it this way, it's fine too. So you're gonna look at it, it's gonna come up as this little gray blob here as a face, and then eventually it's gonna look like one of these skin textures. So we're gonna make facial textures that are similar to this one because that's my new style that I'm going with. So let's get to starting that one today. Okay, so now that it's here, I'm just gonna move, just perfect. That works, right? You can see everything? Great, awesome. I'm probably gonna zoom in on this screen so you can see. Don't do that. I have a drawing tablet that I'm gonna be using, so we're just gonna delete what I just did. Okay, so starting off, we're gonna start off with the texture of skin color that we really want. So I'm gonna open up a second layer, and today we're gonna make, why, that looks great. Okay, this is skin words. Skin color I'm gonna go with today because I feel like it. Actually, just keep the same brush. We're gonna make this massive. So you don't have to do multiply, it just bakes in the color. So if there was any like shading done underneath, it just adds that extra shading. I'll give you an example. So if I were to hide this layer, and I had this layer, and I wanted, like, I mean there's kind of this tiny bit of shading, but let's say I wanted that darker. Let's add mirroring to make our lives easier. Just a little bit into the forehead. So you see how like the forehead now has this shaded bit. So now if I were to take this back, you get that little bit of shading into the forehead without having to really do too much. It's just a little extra detail added step. It doesn't really need to be happening. But anyways, So that's the skin color we're going to go with for today. For example, you can see it more in the ear. That's what I was talking about, is more so in the ear. As you can see that originally there's these lovely shades. Now when you put this color in, if I didn't have multiply, if I just did default and I show that, now those details in the ear is completely gone. But now that I put the multiplier back in, it adds that back in. Even if I did a linear burn, it's going to add that in there too, even more depth. But I find with the linear burn, it makes it more of like a reddish undertone, and I don't really like the reddish undertone all that much. Even though my character has the reddish undertone, I'm just not going to do that. We're not going to talk about it. Anyways, so now that we have this lovely layer, I'm going to go in with the nose. We're going to add in our nose feature. Hopefully I don't mess this up. So basically what I was doing, actually I was using this little fading brush here. I'm going to go in with a brush size about like 1920. So circle. So I like how there's like a little circle around. Oh yeah, you know why it looks weird. Okay, well, we'll come back to that about why that looks weird. But anyways, so this is the shape I usually go with. Here. So it's like a little circle with a little hole in the middle and then 2 circles on the side. And then that gives me my nose that I want to use. What? So before I do any further, I'm going to erase that. I'm going to fix some parameters, or else it's going to look weird to me and it's going to drive me up the wall. So we're just going to save what we have. Okay, so we're going to go back to the nose. We're going to increase the nose size, because right now it's going to look like the anime nose. You can tell if it's increasing. Just you could have either kept the nose that we just did, but when you're looking at it right now, you're not going to see anything. I'm going to usually get it to about like 7 to 8. I'm going to put it about here. Should be fine. Is there anything else? Usually the lips. The lips I also... Let's go to mouth. Yeah, so the lips I also usually turn to the side, and then I increase the lip size. Like so. I mean, you can make it really, really big. I just find it looks kind of funny, so I usually put like that. And generally speaking, your lower lip is a little bit bigger than your upper lip. It all depends on what ethnicity you are, though. Okay, so now I'm going to go back into the skin. Now that those features are added, it just makes it a little bit easier to work with. Okay, so now I'm going to go back and try to do what I was doing earlier. Actually, what does that come up as? How much of a distance can you see that? Okay, because it's in linear burn, when you take the same color again, like sampling it from here and not the original color, it's going to come out different. I think that can work, so I'm actually going to go with a size 15. I lied. And then circle here. So I'm going to blur this in here. I think I want it to be a little darker, to be honest. I like to be able to see my nostrils now. Okay, so now I'm going to add in some nostrils. I'm going to change brush shape. Maybe? I don't remember. Did I change brush shape? Yeah, I think I kept it this one. Cool, and then I did like that. So it's like circle, so a half a C, so that way when you're using mirroring, it's going to come together. And then you have this little highlight in the middle section, and then little tiny nostrils on the side. You do little circles on either side. It creates this nose, and then I usually blur that out. So I'll take a bigger brush size, going back to like size 15, 20, and then blur this part up here. So it fades, and then I drop it back down to about like a 9 to take away some of the harsh edges of the nostril. Okay, cool. And then if I wanted to add like a highlight into the middle of their nose, I'm gonna go slightly lighter. Yeah, okay. And then do one of those. And so we have the nose at least done. Next, we are gonna add the lips. So this is a girl, and she has a little button nose. Cute little nose. I'm gonna make it a little bit more on the peachy side. I'm gonna zoom out so I can see. Let's go back into you here. Awesome, so you can see that there. What I usually do, I find it a lot easier when I go into this layer. I take a sample from their neck to use for the lip color. So I'm making a kind of like a circle shape here, half circle, and then another half circle here. And then with that same color, we're gonna change it to the fader brush. So what I was doing before, I make a little circle here, and then I come back up in the middle here. So it's kind of like, you know, that cat shape, the mouth. I don't know if you can see what I'm talking about. Like, you took out this line here and take out that one up there, then it would kind of make it look like the little cat mouth. Take it around this, there you go. If I put my hand right here, kind of see the little cat mouth, right? That makes sense? All right, so now that we have that up and running, now let's do the rest of the lip. So I want it to be a little bit darker, but I'm gonna go with her neck color here. So the not as dark one, I'm gonna go back to the clear space. See that, right? Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna fill this line and then do the same thing on the bottom. So you just have a tiny bit of that line. And the part that I have a hard time with is making it sure that it connects properly. Okay, so then I'm gonna blur these together and then give it a bit of a softer look on the outside. It looks funny because their like nose is gone. And then she has like these like big lips. And that's kind of the shape that I want. But if we want to bring in some more detail, we can do that and make it a little bit darker. So we're on the right track. So once again, I'm just going to go in just so that way we understand what's going on. So I had a darker shade like this. I'm going to turn back on this one, but I'm still going to work in that same layer. I just want to play around with colors that can work. That works, right? Yeah, I think that one's probably a better color. So like this color is great for the actual lip color itself. So I'm gonna actually keep that aside here. Oops, turn off mirroring because I don't want it on both sides. I just want it on here, and that's just my indication that I know that I like this color for her lips. So what color can we use for an outline? It's a little too reddish. Maybe that color as an outline. I think that probably would look better. So what I'm going to say now is just going to repeat what we just did. So we're going to take this darker color. I'm just going to trace over what I have already put on my original colors there, and that's just going to create some depth into her lips. So then I'm going to take this color that I really liked here, and then we're just going to go as close to that top line, fill in on the sides, and it looks really scary right now. It looks like she has like a duck mouth, like a little beak. Okay, and then we're gonna blur that together, soften it up. Cool. We're gonna soften the edges here so it's not as harsh. There we go. And then when I pull this back in, that's what it's looking like. Alright, and then we can add in some little details. So we can go back in with this darker shade. We're going to make sure that we have the solid brush. And then I'm just going to make a little U shape here. Okay. And then a little line there. And then I'm going to blur that out a little. Adds in some little lip detail. Okay, so now that the lip is done, I'm going to erase that light color palette. One problem that I realized that I do every single time is to never draw directly on this one, because or else you're gonna kind of screw yourself over. Luckily it was in an area that didn't have two different shades. So now that that's gone, okay, we're gonna go back into this one and we're gonna add in some highlights and lowlights. So let's start with the highlight. I'm gonna turn off mirroring. We're gonna go add the highlights. So I'm gonna create a new layer here, and then I'm going to sample the skin color that I have and then go like about 2 shades lighter and then sample it there. Yeah, it's like not that light. Let's go back here. Okay, that shade I can work with. So yeah, about 2 shades lighter than the original one. I've been loving the idea of making it look more cartoony, so I turn off mirroring. I usually make like a little exclamation mark on the nose, and then depending on where the highlights, the shadowing that I want, so I'm going to end up having a shadow somewhere around here, and so then I can add a little highlight somewhere up here, but we'll do that after. I do like adding that little teardrop shape underneath here. And if you want, you can make it look symmetrical, so you can turn on mirroring with that one, or you can make it completely different and just play around with where you want it. So I usually try to make it where I think light is going to hit their face. So I'm going to show you what it looks like when you do have mirroring on. Let's add a line here and there. There we go. So it's a little nice and cute look. I'm going to add another one slightly above the lip. This one I usually turn off mirroring. Usually do on this side of the lip. And then I do one on the bottom. And then you can also add a little patch here. But that depends on like how you want their chin to look. Okay, so now that we have some highlights, now let's add some lowlights. I find it easier to make it the same shadowing color as the nose, and I usually just make the nice brush. The brush type is the fader brush, and brush size about like 15 to 20, somewhere in between there. And I follow this line up here. And then this one I only did on one side, so you kind of just play around with it. I'm trying to figure out where I want it. That one's okay. Okay, so then when you're satisfied with the line that you have, drag this down. I usually blur out one side. So if I turn off the mesh here, I'm gonna blur out just the one side. So it just adds some depth and some dimension into the character's face. And then we know where her nose is. Okay, so now that we have the basics of the face basically done, that would be lesson 1, and I hope that has helped you in any form or fashion. And if it did, please click the like button and send this video to other fellow VTubers or inspiring VTubers who want to create their own artwork, and hopefully more people can see this content and we can grow together. Like I said, join the Discord down below and we can grow this family as well and share other art tips and tricks. Basically, you follow the same methods with the skin on the neck. You know what? Bonus content, since you made it this far in this video, we are actually going to show you how we add the skin of the rest of the body. So let's do that really quickly. First of all, we're going to go back to here. I'm going to go to my layer number 1. I'm going to unmultiply that so I know what color texture I use for the skin here. I'm going to save that, so I'm going to copy that, put back on my multiplier. Cool, now we have that. We're going to move on. Save this as your overwrite of your original skin. We're going to go to body I said body and I clicked outfits. Don't tell me how that works. My brain. All right, so now that we're in here, we're just gonna create a new layer like we did before. I'm gonna do this really quickly. And then everyone who didn't continue watching is just gonna be like, how did you, when they get to the next episode, they're gonna be like, how did you have this lovely mark of skin on the whole entire character? Last time I saw this video, we only did just the face. Well, you should have stayed watching. So I usually do like that. Just cover the whole palette, the same color, and then we go back to multiply. Cool. Now we have the same skin texture, and then we're not done here, but I'm going to save this as a new texture. I'm just going to change her shirt into just like a tank top, so that way you can see what I'm going to do next to add in some of those fun features. Body yada yada. Now we're going to draw in some cleavage. So for the cleavage, we're going to do this really quickly. We're going to open up a new layer. Don't do what I just did. That was an accident. Awesome. Now we're going to sample the shadowing of her neck. On this screen over here, we're going to follow the lines of her boobas and make the brush size a little bit larger. You'll play around with how it's looking. Use mirroring, save you a lot of time. So you want to make sure you come up high enough though that you're still seeing it here. Cool. It's a little chunky over here. Just don't worry about that. We'll fix that later. We're gonna make a skin texture just a little bit darker. I'm just gonna zoom in on her boobas over here. And then I'm gonna shrinky dink and then go in the center. So as you can see, I'm just gonna make this a little bit smaller so you can see a little bit better. It's a bit more concentrated. Okay, cool. So now she has some boobas, and we're gonna blur that out. So go back to about like a 20. I usually do one side versus the other, like one on the inside, and then I do the same thing on the outside. Cool. And then we're gonna go back in with that same highlight color. Yoink. And turning off mirroring. And then you can play with wherever you want the highlights. So I usually do one here. Let's go back into the draw and solid brush. I do one here. And then one up here. And then I do one underneath the sternum, like at the anterior portion, superior portion of the sternum, so the top part, sorry, and then the collarbone. Trying to think of non-anatomical positions of these bones. Sorry, that's just my background is health science, so I'm going to try not to use scientific terms unless you like that. This is the clavicle. Oh, there we go. Adding some little highlights there, and then we're gonna add in right on the deltoid here. Cool. And then another one there, and there we go. She has some very shiny boobas. She just moisturized, got out of the shower. I think I'm gonna make this one up a little bit higher. Erase that one. I like the teardrop shape though. There we go. Awesome. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. And then in the next video, we're gonna go through eyes, I guess. And then the following one would be hair. And yeah, that's pretty much it I do for the body. I might go over some detail that I might do for the body down here in the next video, so stay tuned for that if you want to see how to add in like abdominal or like different other shadings that you normally see in your human body. And I hope to see you in the next one. Okay, take care everyone. Bye.